Of which of the two NBA finalists should the Mavericks aspire to be most like? Plus, would you do this particular trade for the number 1 overall pick? We'll dive into all that and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato and our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Of which of the two NBA finalists should the Mavericks aspire to be going into next season? Plus, would you do this particular trade for the number 1 overall pick? And we'll get into some news and notes with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports while you're here. And do the same for our podcast wherever you get your podcasts for free. Just search DLLS Mavs. Give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while you're there on this marvelous Monday, gentlemen. It is the first Monday of the month of June. Tim Cato, how are we feeling?
Is anything going to happen in June that relates to the Dallas Mavericks?
There's plenty of things that are going to be happening in the month of June relating to the Dallas Mavericks as the NBA calendar gets that much more accelerated now that the NBA Finals are on the horizon. Marc Stein, how are we feeling?
The championship games are here.
They are. Yes, they are here. Beginning on June 5th with the Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Indiana Pacers. Plenty of talk about the NBA Finals throughout the course of our show, including how we kick off today's show here on the DLLS Mavs. You may be asking, where is Bobby Carella? Well, he will be back with us tomorrow here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. He's handling
That
business.
was my question. Where is he?
He's handling business today.
I've been away for a week. I come back. I'm back in the country. I expect to see the full complement of DLLSers.
Well, he'll be back tomorrow, so you can hang out with him tomorrow.
Is he avoiding me?
No, he's not. He was very excited that you were going to be back today, but he had some business to take care of. But he'll be back with us tomorrow. And with that, we move that much
Tim, you're very quiet. You look very solemn. What's up? Something wrong?
Nothing's wrong.
Talk to the old man. You promise?
I'm doing lovely. It's a Monday. We're starting this all
Tanner,
back
do you
over
believe
again.
him? Tim looks very solemn and calm today.
We're going to get him excited, though, talking about not only these Mavericks, but also the NBA Finals.
Maybe that's just who I am. A solemn, calm fella.
No.
A solemn, calm Cato.
Not in my remembrance.
What's up, Ray Jack Wins? Appreciate you joining us here on the show today. Of the two NBA finalists, gentlemen, who should the Mavericks aspire to be like most going into next season? We've got a matchup in the NBA Finals featuring the number 1 defense in the NBA, the number 3 offense in the NBA, which happens to be the same team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the number 9 offense in the Indiana Pacers during the regular season. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder winning a franchise record 68 games this year. Meanwhile, the Indiana Pacers have been torrid run since the beginning of 2025, and now having won the Eastern Conference Finals over the weekend. Rick Carlisle in the NBA Finals for the second time as a head coach, this time, though, with the Indiana Pacers, Tim Cato. So when you look at these two teams and the lessons that could be learned from both the Thunder and the Pacers, which of these two finalists should the Mavericks aspire to be like most?
Yeah, obviously the truth is that Dallas isn't exactly like either team. And that is... It kind of depends on your perspective. I think we are in an era where team building, how do you build a team that goes to the finals? If you go back through the past few finals, almost every single team has a different look about how their roster and how their identity was constructed. And a lot of it does stem from star players. And out of the two teams, so the Pacers are a pass heavy, top 2 in the NBA in the regular season in passes made. They are a pace team. Their tempo jacks up. Their low turnover. Almost every single player who steps on the court is capable of seeing a mismatch, taking advantage of it. But they also try to play random. They try to play within those constructs of, oh, this guy beat another player, beat the defense down the court, and now he's got a small on him. That's where the ball goes. So it's random, but it's not. It's random with a plan. You're not planning to go down the court and get that specific mismatch. You're planning to get down the court and then see what mismatches you have. It's a very structured style of random basketball. That doesn't really remind me of Dallas at all. That even next season, even fully healthy, I think that's going to be a very difficult thing for Dallas to do. Not with when your offense is going to be led by Anthony Davis, a post player, somebody that you view as the main guy to get double teams. This is something that Jason Kidd, that others around the Mavericks have said a lot. It's a situation where you've got to prioritize touches for him, regardless of what's happening on the court. I think OKC, Oklahoma City, is a little bit closer to what Dallas is. Mm-hmm. Certainly, this is a team that has a better shooter. Chet Holmgren is a better three-point shooter than Anthony Davis. There's no question about that. But he's not Miles Turner in his willingness to take shots and make shots. And they do have now Hartenstein, who is a player who is a non-shooting center. It's two bigs. They love two bigs. Now they have the flexibility to go smaller, but they like putting up and down the court. Defensive players. Almost every single player in the rotation is a plus defender, and I do think that's a little bit closer to the model Dallas has. The problem is, of course, is that Shai is virtually he plays at his own tempo in a way that, even facing double teams, he just does a really good job breaking down defenses. Kyrie, at this point of his career, and especially not knowing exactly what he's going to look like coming back from the injury, that's a little bit much to ask of him. He's always been a number 2 option. He's one of the best number 2 options in the entire NBA. He is absolutely a capable deputy, can deputize, can lead any offense, but ideally you want him to lead it next to somebody. And you look at Shai, and there's just a gap between those two players. I think Oklahoma City also clearly has more players they can go to and rely on. Now, you look at Aaron Wiggins, and I think it's fair to say that Dallas has Najee Marshalls and PJ Washingtons and guys you can get the secondary production from. The big question going into next season is even as J-Dub at times has struggled throughout the postseason, do they have anybody who matches what Shai can do as kind of a lead offensive threat? Really, the answer may be that the championship model Dallas is trying to build is much closer to someone like the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cavaliers didn't get there. So there's going to be a unique path every time you go. Every team is going to be built differently. There's a lot of ways to do it. Just because Dallas doesn't look exactly like Indiana or Oklahoma City does not mean that they don't have the ability to get to a championship level. But certainly, I don't think that they're going to get there mimicking either one of these teams. There's just a little bit of a difference between what these two teams do. What these two teams do and Dallas does.
I would say, first of all, I don't think the Thunder are in any way replicable because of the way they've built their team,
sure,
the way they've amassed. I don't even know how many. I've lost count of how many firsts and seconds they have stored up to give them just a ridiculous amount of optionality. But what both of these teams have in common is a Cinderella story at point guard. Both Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton have so far exceeded what was expected of them, mid-lottery picks becoming face of the franchise type players. You just don't expect that. I think Indiana's model is probably more replicable, if I keep using that word that I'm not sure is a word, because
you're nailing it.
It's
a great word.
They're what the Pacers are trying to do is 2 stars and depth. I think that's the way the Mavs would like to play it. I remember after the trade deadline passed and there was all this talk that now the Mavs are going to go after KD, and the way it was relayed to me was no, the Mavs really don't want to do a 3-star construction that guts all their depth. They would rather have 2 stars. Now you win the lot, you luck your way into winning the lottery. So you might have 3 stars and for a few years Cooper Flagg as, making rookie scale money. But I think the Mavs would prefer to build a team like the Pacers have, with two highly paid max guys and as much depth as they can put around them. But it's interesting that, I'm sure you guys saw this. Miles Turner said after the game that the power of friendship is what is fueling both of these teams. No super teams in these finals. The power of friendship. So I don't know yet if the power of friendship is real, tangible, sustainable. But if such a thing really exists, if that is a real thing, and look, I think, a lot of people criticize the Thunder when we see all their guys doing interviews after games together. But, there clearly is. To me, these are the vibes finals because these two teams both really do have, you can see their chemistry. You can tangibly see their chemistry, which is not often the case. So, that's something to aspire to as well. You want to have a team that, you would love to have a team that gets along as well as these two teams appear to. But I think Tim's right. I think it would be hard to truly copy either one of them.
Yeah, and like Nembhard is a good example of why Dallas should not be looking just for a stopgap. They should be looking for a guard who can do more of what Kyrie does. Nobody is replacing him, but he can do more of what Kyrie does while also play alongside him. We've seen how much every single team in the postseason has multiple creators.
But
and it's
like Nembhard and Nesmith are two of the most important players in the whole league because that's like when you get guys who make the salaries they make and they can make such a contribution. You can't even overstate how huge that is. And Nesmith was basically a Celtics discard, and the Pacers have turned him into a key player. And Nembhard was a second-round pick who they were able to bump his out. He was making $2 million. They bumped it to the 18 range. That's the most they could bump it to. So Nembhard's going to jump on that contract for security purposes, but Nembhard as a whatever, 16, 17, $18 million player in this league. That is so huge for your team building. Like you cannot overstate. Can't overstate like how huge that is, and there's some fortune there too. You always have to have luck too.
Sure.
If the Mavs are going to really truly rebound from the Luka trade, it's going to be because they had this ridiculously huge slice of luck winning the draft lottery. It does take some of that too.
Yeah, it'll start there. It's interesting you mentioned how Miles Turner discusses the power of friendship. You could look at it the other way as well. The power of friendship also built the super team, for example, in Miami. How close LeBron James and Dwayne Wade were, and then convincing Chris Bosh also to join.
Well, and the Nets. The Nets, those guys were all friends. And that thing blew up, as spectacularly as we've ever seen a super team implode.
Yeah. Nico Harrison and Anthony Davis are great friends. We need Basketball Reference to create a friendship per 100 possession stat. I think that's the solution here.
The championship team is built on the power of friendship.
Yeah, and then we can see actually who leads the league in friendship shares.
Yeah, friendship shares. I like that idea. Friendship shares is a good idea. At the Mavericks, I think the team, if you're looking at these two teams specifically, if we're to go with the idea that Nico Harrison believes that defense wins championships, I'm sure he would love to look like the Oklahoma City Thunder in a lot of ways. High-level defenders in their starting five. They've got a lot of depth as well. You look at what they've got even coming off the bench, for example, and a guy in Casey Wallace who could eventually replace Lou Dort down the road as a guy that goes into that starting five as one of the better defensive guards in the league. And with the defense that the Oklahoma City Thunders plays, with their ability to switch at multiple positions, plus defenders everywhere that you look, they defend at a high level. The trick with Oklahoma City is they also have one of the best offenses in the league. This is a team that is top 3 in offensive rating throughout the course of the regular season, with a lead guard in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who can not only get his own shot but also distribute for others. They've got a lot of shot making, a lot of creativity on that offensive end that just makes the defensive side that much more devastating, because when they get you out in transition, they are hard to stop. And this is a team that will put a lot of pressure on you, turning a lot of defense into their own offense, which gives them easy buckets as well to even make that much more efficient in terms of their offense throughout the course of the year. But there are lessons to be learned from both of these teams as the Dallas Mavericks look to get themselves back into position going into next year, but also in the near future, with, of course, some good fortune coming with Cooper Flagg at the #1 overall pick, which we'll get into coming up here on the next segment here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Would you do any of these potential hypothetical trades when
No.
it comes to to Cooper Flagg.
No.
I'll read some of them to see what these guys react to, and we'll get your reaction as well. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Fellas, I'm talking to you. Talking to you right now. Let me fill you in a little bit of something about myself. You see, I'm doing the very rare maneuver. Wearing shorts in the office. Because sometimes I walk to work, and it is starting to get hot. Summer's right around the corner. You know what that means? It means you stink. It means you stink in a lot of different places. You know what the fix for that is? The solution? It's a Mando. Mando is a men's deodorant brand. It's so hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling clean and fresh. And it's, importantly, the aspects that you don't think about. The pits, the belly buttons, the balls, the butt crack. If you're not addressing this stuff, you stink. If you don't think about how you might stink down there, you stink. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with their exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code DLLS at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
And when you start smelling good, I want you to go to these games as well when it comes to WNBA, NBA games, sporting events, concerts, and you got to use Game Time to get your tickets to do so. I use Game Time this weekend to get my tickets to go see the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese take on the Dallas Wings in Arlington. Unfortunately, Wings didn't get the win. Sky got the win, but at the same time, my wife, my daughter, and I had a great time, and I was able to do it with Game Time. They got all-in prices, so I knew exactly what I was going to pay when I got to checkout. They got panoramic seat views as well, so I knew exactly where I wanted to sit. My wife was like, I want to sit in this particular section. I was able to go to Game Time. They had the section that I was looking for, and I put in my promo code DLLS. I got $20 off my tickets as well, so we was able to all have a good time at the game. So make sure you take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply, and create an account and use code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Back here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Again, appreciate all of you joining us here on our show as the calendar has officially turned to June as we move that much closer to the NBA Finals and the NBA Draft, boys and girls, on June 25th and 26th. Marc Stein, 2-day extravaganza for the NBA Draft.
Saw Sarah in the chat. I got to find my friendship bracelet.
Oh, you got to find your friendship bracelet. There's a couple folks that are in our chat today. We got Sarah. Good morning. Our guy Charlie Saturday in the chat as well. Shout out to Charlie Saturday hanging out with us here.
Shout out Gunga.
Yeah, Gunga Den is also here as well. So appreciate all of you hanging out with us.
Twan.
Friendship bracelet added.
Oh, friendship
bracelet. We got a whole crew of regulars
Put that
here.
in the camera so make sure Sarah can see you got your friendship. But there it is. There it is.
You look like you were about to punch me.
Tempting.
Yeah.
Usually it is.
Tempting.
Man, that was your chance. Oh, no. I lost control of my muscles.
Oh, wow. He's had plenty of chances.
You should have been holding the Die Hard card, and it's so heavy.
You did so well
Yeah.
filling in for Bobby on the Mando read that I'm not going to punch you.
He's not going to punch you. Well, you might punch me when I come to reading some of these trades, Marc Stein, because
nope.
The answer is just no.
Mark doesn't have the wingspan for that.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
here in
that's
a
why his
second.
draft stock is falling every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
His stock never falls. when
Yeah,
it comes to
no,
Marc
negative
Stein.
wingspan.
Go ahead, read your fake trade. God, I hate fake trades. Go ahead, read them.
Oh, okay, good. This is going to be fun then.
Read them.
Potential trade offers for the top 25 draft pick Cooper Flagg. This comes from ESPN's NBA Insiders. Interestingly enough, they put together 3 different trades that we could possibly go through in terms of how keeping the number 1 pick plays into the Mavericks' future. By the way, if you missed it, make sure you check out our conversation with ESPN's Bobby Marks, front office guy, who gave a beautiful shout out to our guy.
That was
Marc Stein.
I'm really sad that I missed it now.
Yeah,
it was very, very kind words.
You
I mean,
missed-
because seriously, just to really put a quick bow on that story, it only made me look good to bring in a guy who was in the Nets front office for 20 years to get him on SportsCenter. So he's making it sound like I made some huge sacrifice where it was great to get him on SportsCenter those many years ago. So.
Yeah, and he had a tremendous conversation with us when it came to the Mavericks and their salary cap situation. So let's jump into some of these because I'm interested to get your reaction and your reaction as well here in the chat. Offer number 1, gentlemen. the Mavericks get involved with the San Antonio Spurs, where the Spurs move up to build the front court of the future. In this trade, the Spurs would get the number 1 overall pick, Tanner. The Dallas Mavericks would get the 2025 number 2 pick, the number 14 pick, 2027 Atlanta Hawks first rounder, and a return of swap rights to the Mavericks 2030 first rounder. Now, in this scenario, you're literally giving the San Antonio Spurs Cooper Flagg to pair up with Victor Wembanyama going forward. I don't know how keen you.
Can I cuss on this?
No, not yet. This is not a watch along. You can't do that. Not today. Your reaction to that particular trade?
I don't get the. Here's the problem. If you trade the number 1 pick, why are you getting first rounders back in return? There's just the only scenario where it makes sense for Dallas to go hunt for first rounders, future first rounders. In this scenario, 2 of them, they've got number 2 and number 14. So basically, you're trading down to get Dylan Harper. And look, I even one of my first reactions was wondering if that was plausible. But it's just, if you're rebuilding around Cooper and you wanted to reset everything, and you said, okay, well, the way to reset is to trade our older veterans and get first-round draft capital to try to rebuild that way. I'm not in, we've talked about this a million times on the show. I'm not partial to that idea. If I, from my perspective of the Mavericks, but why are you trading down to a tier down in terms of young prospect? Even though I really like Dylan Harper, he's really highly rated. Why are you trading down to get Dylan Harper and then ending up with some first rounders, down the road? If you're at least doing that with Cooper on the roster, that would be a clear signal. That would be consistent. That would be linear in terms of team building. Is this scenario where, at least if you were getting back Castle, I guess, but really like in this scenario, probably Fox is the guy you want. You want Fox and Dylan Harper. That's like the only scenario where it's like, okay, immediately win now. But I don't love the Fox and Kyrie Irving fit next to each other. If they had a guard who I loved that fit, where he could fill in and then make the team, that's when it would. And look, the headline of this was, something like potential trade offers that the Mavericks might not immediately say no to. These are all unrealistic. They're fake trades. They're fake in the sense that I don't even think ESPN is pretending like they're realistic or that Dallas would accept them. But in the scenario, I don't see a logical through line to what Dallas is getting back. They're getting back future picks, but also downgrading their future long-term prospect that they're going to build around.
If I'm even thinking about this trade, not only do I need all of that from San Antonio, but I need an established player already as well. And you mentioned Stephon Castle, of course, was the Rookie of the Year in the NBA. Hell, you might have to throw in Devin Vassell as well to make me even think about it, because I need some established guys if I'm going to be in win-now mode to even think about giving you what I would give up in terms of potential future All-Star in Cooper Flagg. So based off of just the format of this particular trade, I'm saying no to this one. Charlie Saturday, though, apparently likes the idea. He said he thinks he likes this, which Tanner responded, no. Tanner's not feeling that one.
I mean, look, the quality of the draft picks, I guess, fall into the category of you don't instantly hang up, I guess. But no, man. It's just like, again, like, I mean, this is going to be my answer to what I don't even know what the other 2 proposals are, but
I'm about to get to them.
This is going to be my answer.
This is going to be the next one I got for you. Is the biggest one out of the 3. Offer number 2, you got a 4-team trade in this one, where the Cavs form new star trio in Cooper Flagg, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland. So in this one, the Dallas Mavericks would get guard Donovan Mitchell, a 2031 first-round pick via the Lakers, a 2028 first-round swap via the Lakers, and a 2030 first-round swap via the Lakers as well. The Cavs, in this case, would get the number 1 pick, guards Javon Carter, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Cleveland, and P.J. Washington, and check this out, and Daniel Gafford as well. The Lakers would get Jared Allen, and the Chicago Bulls would get Dalton Connect, Caleb Martin, a 2026 second-round pick via the Cavs. Yeah. Bunch of second-round picks, basically.
So wait, who are the Mavs out the door to accommodate Donovan Mitchell's
they're trading
salary?
They're trading number 1, P.J. Washington, and Daniel Gafford. And it's like, for a second, I saw Donovan Mitchell's name, and I thought about how good that team would be and how I actually do kind of a little bit more like the idea of Mitchell next to Kyrie just because of sheer talent alone. But you're sending out Cooper Flagg and PJ Washington. Gafford is one thing, but like, the entire idea that you would trade PJ Washington is predicated on Cooper being here, right?
Exactly.
I don't see a lot of reason for Dallas to be in the PJ Washington market as of now without that. I mean, it's still like it's not an ideal fit. PJ playing the 3 next to AD and Derek Lively is not the ideal fit for PJ, to be very, very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
He does not scale down as a point of attack defender. That was an issue last season. It was an issue even when the team was healthy. We saw it. It was an issue in that, when they played the Clippers back to back in LA. It was an issue in that second game where, Clippers having 3 creators was just excessive, and Dallas didn't have enough stoppers. But I mean,
people forget that the Mavs went to the conference finals in 2022 in Jason Kidd's first year as head coach, in large part because they had 3 playmakers. Dinwiddie was so good as the third playmaker. It was a secret weapon for that team. And did you guys see Chris Finch, after the Wolves lost the Western Conference Finals? We've run this quote twice now on my Substack because I think it is such an insightful window into the way coaches think. But Chris Finch talked about everybody wants shooting, but really what he thinks teams need are at least as many ball handlers, playmakers as you can get.
Yeah.
And so the Mavs right now don't have anyone who fits in that category except Kyrie Irving when he's back from injury that you would call elite. But another thing teams do love is that Swiss Army knife forward who can do a lot of things. We've seen it in Denver with Aaron Gordon. We just saw who won Eastern Conference Finals MVP with Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Flagg has the ability, the potential to grow into that, to be that kind of versatile, big forward. And if he can add the playmaking piece as he gets more settled, he just has so much potential for the stuff to do the things you really need to win in today's NBA that, the answer is still no. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is, like you said, you see Donovan Mitchell's name, you're like, oh, maybe. But, I mean, no.
Okay, so we got 2 no's on these. And Tanner's like, hell no to all of them. Let's get to the last one here. Let's see what you guys think about this one, where the Mavericks get involved with one of their bitter rivals in the Phoenix Suns. Now, in this one...
Are they really rivals anymore?
Well, we'll still consider them a rival while we're here, especially for the PHNX folks, for sure. The Dallas Mavericks, in this particular trade, they get Devin Booker, a 2025 first rounder, which will be number 29, a 2028 first rounder, and a 2029 first round pick swap as well. And the Suns, in this case, would get the number 1 overall pick, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, and Caleb Martin would all go to the Phoenix Suns in this particular case.
Yeah, no.
That's a lot to give up pretty much for Devin Booker and the idea of some first rounders in 2028 and 29. That, to me, out of the 3 was the least one that I thought would be even a thought. I would probably hang up the phone instantly because I got to give up Klay, PJ, Najee, and Caleb.
I understand that this was a tempting segment to set up, and look, it seems like our friends in the chat quite enjoyed it. But
yes.
Today is 4 months from the day that the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic. And it has been a rocky, painful 4 months for a lot of basketball fans in this city who are tired of being sad and miserable. And like, the Cooper Flagg lottery pick is a generational get out of jail card. It is like, the Mavs fans were so attached to Luka because Mavs drafted Luka. He's like, there's just a different bond between a fan base and a player who is drafted. I'm guessing Charlie Saturday would back me up. This is why he gets so mad when I have the temerity to even suggest that Giannis Antetokounmpo won't finish his career in Milwaukee. When a player is drafted by your team, it's just different. There's a different connection. There ain't no way they're trading the chance to draft Cooper Flagg.
No, there's no way that you're going to trade this pick. The kind of
you always listen. If the phone rings, you have it would be stupid to say I am not listening. Listen.
Yeah. The only one that you pause on though is the first one because it's a scenario where you get a lot and still
the
have
amount
a
of
player
draft
for the future.
capital is at least you think about it, but
But when you have Cooper Flagg, when your fan base, when now Cooper Flagg is in the fan base's head, the only way that you could ever consider, and ultimately you would say no, but the only way you could ever consider it is if you still had a very hyped, promising, high ceiling prospect coming in, and also made your hopes, your championship vision better right now. And the Spurs is the only one that even gets close to that. I just don't think it's enough.
Appreciate you thinking about some of those trades. A lot of the folks in our chat are like, nope, not doing any of that. We want Cooper Flagg here.
I see Twan's correction. Twan, that the Hawks drafted Luka on behalf of the Mavericks. There was a prearranged trade between the teams before the picks were made. So technically, yes, Atlanta took Luka at 3 and the Mavs took Trae Young at 5, but it was agreed upon that the players would be swapped. So was Dirk Nowitzki drafted by the Mavericks or the Milwaukee Bucks? If you want to insist it was the Milwaukee Bucks, Bobby Corrales and Charlie Saturday's Milwaukee Bucks, we certainly can. But I think fans in this city pretty much feel like Luka was a Mavericks draftee.
Yeah, from the very beginning.
Andrew Wiggins was drafted by Minnesota. Halliburton was drafted by Indiana. How far does this lodge? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Let's take our next break.
I'm derailing for no reason at all.
Of the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider Marc Stein with some news when it comes to this particular Dallas Maverick and this Mavericks assistant coach. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
All right, guys. I just told you about Mando. Just told you about the shorts. Told you about the walk, the sunny walk outdoors. About 15 minutes for me. You know the other one essential? Anytime I'm stepping out into the Texas heat this summer, it's Shady Rays. Get ready for the summer ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. They're an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Also, if your shades ever go missing, take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love the shades, exchange for a new pair. Return worry-free for 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
We talked to you about Saturday Neon when it comes to the DLLS Mavs podcast, started by 2 college friends. Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs perfect for your home, office, dorm, fan cave, or bar. You can check out their new Essentials collection as well, featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for only $75. You got the Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State signs as well. They're going to make some eventually, hopefully, for Tanner and his Baylor Bears at some point down the road. Unlike traditional neon signs, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. LEDs lasting up to 100,000 hours, so you'll be enjoying your sign for years to come as well. They're super easy to install as well with the provided hardware or just some 3M command strips. And they're the perfect gift for the favorite sports fan in your life. So make sure you head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign. Again, head over to SaturdayNeon.com, use code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign with Saturday Neon today. Appreciate you joining us here on the podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports, and also download and subscribe to the podcast. Search DLLS Mavs, give it a 5-star rating, and write a review for it while you're there. Let's dial up the Stein line here on our show with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can find him on X at the Stein line. Good to have him back in studio after traveling abroad overseas. Big weekend in sports. Congratulations to PSG, who won the UEFA Champions League in record fashion over the weekend.
Yeah, real tight one.
Dominating Inter 5-0 in the Champions League final there. And, of course, the Indiana Pacers securing their spot in the NBA Finals to join the Oklahoma City Thunder. But let's focus in on some news, Marc Stein, when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks. Particularly, we talked about ball handling and creation that this team needs and has to have going into next year. One of their guards, who is a free agent this upcoming summer, could he be potentially heading overseas, or could he be staying here in Dallas?
Dante Exum, the Australian national teamer. There have been some recent reports emanating from Europe that the Turkish power Fenerbahce wants to come after Dante Exum, who will be an unrestricted free agent at month's end. And look, it's natural for teams in Europe to want Exum because he's already gone to Europe. He spent a season at Barcelona, spent a season at Partizan Belgrade. So once you play in Europe, teams over there are going to want to try to bring a player like that back. But I checked it out over the weekend. What I was told is Exum most certainly wants to stay in the NBA. Remember, when he suffered the second injury, first he had the wrist injury that messed him up at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had the hand injury that was initially feared to be season-ending. But remember, he came back for the last 2 regular season games, came back for the 2 play-in games. There were rumbles at the time that was done in a way to basically help his free agency prospects this summer, to show the NBA, no, I want to stay here. I want to, he doesn't want to go. But I've since been told there's mutual interest between Dante Exum and the Mavericks to do some sort of new deal. And look, we know the Mavs are very thin in the backcourt right now. Kyrie Irving is going to be rehabbing his ACL till January. Might it take longer? We don't know yet. There is no Kyrie timetable. So Brandon Williams had a great season this year, earned the contract he got, but Brandon Williams is the only recognized ball handler that's really there right now. So obviously, we'll have to see how the rest of the roster plays out. And yeah, I mean, Exum only played in 20 games this season, but I do think there's a pathway for the Mavericks to bring him back.
He broke his hand twice, both hands. He has had a long career full of injuries. He's been injury prone. It's been the main thing that has derailed his career. And once you have the injury prone label and you break your hand twice, maybe, is that just more evidence of the fact? Is it just sheer dumb luck? Bad luck?
You guys want a little breaking news, by the way? Remember a couple of weeks ago when I reported that the Mavs are going to play a game in Vegas in the preseason? The Lakers just announced it official October 15th at T-Mobile Arena. Dallas at Lakers NBA exhibition game.
Okay.
October 15th.
Well, mark your calendars for that as the Lakers and Mavericks will get together.
First reunion next season for the Mavericks and Luka Doncic in Vegas, October 15th. Safe to say that I will find my way to get to that tilt.
Okay. Well, make sure you mark your calendars. October 15th, Lakers and Mavericks at T-Mobile Arena in a preseason game between the two teams. As we've got our national NBA insider Marc Stein here in studio with us. What's the news when it comes to Dante Exum with mutual interest between him and the Mavericks to potentially do a deal to bring him back to the team as well? Could he be part of a team that has one of their assistant coaches potentially returning? What's the latest when it comes to Mavericks assistant coach Sean Sweeney and the Phoenix Suns job as they move forward there?
Yeah, so ESPN reported today that the Suns have narrowed it down to 2, and both of the assistants who made the finals are from the Cavs. Jordan Knott, the Michigan State alumnus, and Johnny Bryant. So I reported over the weekend, Suns officials went to OKC to interview Dave Bliss, Sean Sweeney from the Mavs, Dave Bliss from the Thunder, Chris Quinn from the Heat, and the 2 Cleveland assistants. They were the 5 assistant coaches in the past week who got face-to-face interviews with Brian Gregory, the Suns GM. Now they're moving to the true finalist stage where the interviews are directly with Matt Ishbia, the Suns owner. And according to this ESPN report, it is only the 2 Cleveland assistants who advance. So look, I'm stunned, to be honest. I thought both Sean Sweeney and Chris Quinn had a strong chance to make it all the way to the final round. Over the weekend, talking to people around the league and coaching circles, Chris Quinn's name was mentioned often. But, I mean, this has been a long, drawn-out search. The Suns interviewed more than 15 coaches in the first round. When they went to the second round, they only narrowed it down to 9. But probably the most significant reporting that I did on this, and this would be more for PHNX than for DLLS, but that in the interviews over the past week, Devin Booker's been part of all of them. So that's a pretty strong statement about how the Suns feel about their star player that that Book was getting a direct connection to all of these.
Yeah, I mean they've been consistent that he's their star, that he's not being moved, that he's not tradable, that he's not on the block, that they'll hang up if you even dare, call them about it. If you send a pigeon, a carrier pigeon, they'll shoot arrows at it. That's how serious they are, that they are not trading Devin Booker this summer. We'll see. ESPN's fake trades say otherwise. So who am I to believe? The reports, the direct lines coming out of Phoenix, the front office, who is in charge of potentially trading Devin Booker or not? Or do I believe an internet article? I'm always going to side with the internet. That's my DNA.
Got it.
So as much as I'm appreciative that he's been in these conversations, I really don't know. It's impossible to say whether he's going to be a Phoenix Sun next season or not. But yes, it does seem like the Mavericks will not be losing anybody. Additionally, they've already had they have some vacancies they're going to have to take care of this summer.
Yeah, obviously Alex Jensen has gone to coach in the college game at Utah. So they have
one front of bench.
That front of bench.
Certainly some behind the scene or back of bench.
On the staff. But look,
non-coaching.
Sean Sweeney has now been a finalist in Detroit and Phoenix. He's a very highly rated coach. And I suspect that as much as Jason Kidd would have loved to see Sean Sweeney get this job, there's also a sense of relief that he didn't get the job and he's still here because Jason Kidd leans on him heavily. And let's not forget Jared Dudley, who's also on the Mavs bench, was also part of this search. So
Matt Ishbia just really wants a Spartan to coach his basketball team, it feels like.
I would love to be I would love to sit in on that PHNX segment. If Jordan Ott is the choice, that means that Matt Ishbia hired a Spartan as his new GM who has only one full-time season of NBA experience, and now Jordan Ott, another Michigan Stater, to be his head coach.
A first-time head coach.
I cannot wait to see the reaction from our friends at PHNX, if that's how it turns out.
You might as well pack Kevin Durant's bags right now. As far as his time with Phoenix is concerned, it feels like. Anything else to empty out of the mailbag or the note?
Well, do you think you could trade Max Christie for KD? Max Christie, Michigan State.
I'm sure if Matt Ishbia had his way, his team would be full of Phoenix Spartans at this particular point when it comes to.
I'm just saying, you got to try it. You got to
so
make
bad
a
on college stuff that I didn't even know Max Christie went.
I didn't until I just Googled it.
Well, maybe you know what? Maybe I
don't know how long he was there.
Maybe Ishbia's trying to pull off the whole thing in New York with the New York Wildcats. With Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. Maybe they're trying to pull that off on the West Coast when it comes to Phoenix and create the Phoenix Spartans like the New York Wildcats. Maybe. They didn't move Dante DiVincenzo, so maybe that doesn't necessarily work out. I did find something very interesting, and Mark, maybe you can shed some more light on it too, because we talk about the Western Conference and one team that's won 2 Western Conference Finals games in the past 2 seasons, and Minnesota Timberwolves. They got an interesting decision when it comes to Julius Randle and Naz Reid and others. What does that team potentially look like, given what could be a Western Conference shakeup a little bit with that team?
Yeah, I mean, look, and they also have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who had a great season this season, playing on $4 million and change. So there's already tons of interest in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Naz Reid and Julius Randle both have player options. I don't know what's going to happen at this juncture. I mean, the expectation is that Naz Reid is going to decline that player option because it's only $15 million. He can certainly get a larger deal in free agency. I reported over the weekend that Detroit's a team that's interested in Naz Reid, but certainly not alone there. But Julius Randle did not have a good Western Conference Finals, but he was very good in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. I mean, Draymond Green came out and said that it's only the second forward to outplay me head-to-head in a playoff series. So I think Julius Randle...
We might need Snopes to look into that. But continue.
I would say I think Julius Randle, I think the Wolves want to keep him, but the Wolves have also been... I mean, they were a Kevin Durant team in February. They were trying for Kevin Durant. So when the Wolves traded for Julius Randle... Yes, there was a financial component. They were trying to make it easier to be able to re-sign these guys compared to, because Randle's salary is about half as large as Cat's salary, but it was also to add some playmaking. And so if they were to lose Randle, they're going to lose playmaking, and they already have a playmaking void because their best playmaker is Mike Conley, who's been in the league for 18, 19 years already. And, Dillingham proved to be further away from being able to be a contributor right off the bat than they were hoping. So as we're seeing with almost every team that loses in the playoffs, they're facing major decisions. I mean, that's why, again, going back to the beginning of the show, like, you can't replicate OKC because not only do they have a great present, their future is so ridiculously good.
Sure.
Like most of the teams that are exiting the playoffs just face agonizing choices. Boston, New York, Milwaukee, and we can go on and on and on.
Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Coming up next, we preview the NBA Finals, Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers for a right to win an NBA championship. We'll dive into that matchup and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But I want you to become a member of the DLLS Sports family, and the easiest way that you can do that is to become a diehard member here at DLLS Sports. We've got our member-only Discord. We've got 20% off our events, premium content on our website as well from our guy Tim Cato when it comes to covering the Dallas Mavericks, Joseph Hoyt and Clarence Hill Jr. covering the Dallas Cowboys, Jeff Wilson when it comes to covering the Texas Rangers, and Sam Nestler and Sean Shapiro covering your Dallas Stars. Make sure that you go to alldlls.com, click that diehard button, become a diehard member today, and you get a free t-shirt when you become a member with us here as well. We've got tremendous merchandise. As we mentioned, 20% off all of our events, and you get all the access to alldlls.com. Make sure you click that QR code that you see on the screen there to become a diehard member and join us here on our DLLS Sports family, where we got tremendous events, including coming up later on this year when the Dallas Cowboys visit the Las Vegas Raiders. We are going to Vegas. That's right. The DLLS road trip in Las Vegas, November 15th through the 18th. You can go to Sin City with Clarence Hill Jr. I'm going to leave it right there.
That's terrifying.
That's right.
Is the scariest thing that's
Are
ever
we
been said on
invited
this
to
show.
that?
I mean, you could go if you want to. We know that's one of your favorite cities, Marc Stein. But yes, the DLLS road trip in Las Vegas, November 15th through the 18th, where the Cowboys and Raiders get together on Monday Night Football at Allegiant Stadium. You can hang out with our guys throughout the entirety of that weekend. And yes, you can hang out with Clarence Hill Jr. In Sin City for that entire weekend. So make sure that you become a diehard member, become part of our DLLS Sports family, and you can also like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports as well. You can also download and subscribe to all of our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts for free. But again, alldlls.com, become a diehard member. Come hang out with us in Vegas. Hang out with us, period, when it comes to everything DLLS Sports today. Let's finish up here on our podcast today. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, at 12 p.m., as we will be doing most of the entirety of the summer and, of course, heading into the fall. What we heard a little bit earlier, the Mavericks, speaking of Sin City, will be taking on the Los Angeles Lakers on October 15th at T-Mobile Arena for a preseason game. Excited to see Cooper Flagg in a Mavericks uniform in Sin City in Las Vegas. That should be pretty fun later on this year. But we've got an NBA Finals set, gentlemen. The Oklahoma City Thunder will take on the Indiana Pacers. That series will begin on Thursday, June 5th in Oklahoma City, where the Thunder have home court advantage after winning 68 games during the regular season. Rick Carlisle's Indiana Pacers make the NBA Finals, and they're back in the finals for the first time. Check this out. In 25 years, it's been since the Indiana Pacers made the NBA Finals. Rick Carlisle taking his second team to the finals, of course, winning a championship with the Mavericks back in 2011. And now Tim Cato taking on an upstart Pacers team that was able to take out the New York Knicks in 6 games, and now got a showdown with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder.
Oh no, I'm psyched for this. OKC's the heavy favorite, of course they are.
They are one of the most heavy favorites of all time, actually. When it comes to
they are. Yeah. You know, I even saw people asking, like, you know, was the favorite in the series as big in like 2011, the Mavs versus the Heat? Yeah, no, the Vegas odds are enormous in OKC's favor. But I love watching this Indiana team. You know, OKC is the the league's best defense, a historic defense by all metrics. When you start looking at adjusted to, league average defense, what they've put up this season is I think the best ever. Maybe it fell a little bit towards the end of the year. And they prey on teams who have specific ideas about how they're going to play. Like, if you are a team predicated on, we need to get the ball into Jokic, we need to get the ball into Anthony Davis. If we love running this pick and roll scheme, their defenders are so smart, they're so aggressive, they're so swarming. They're going to go shut that down. They're going to be in those spaces, which I think is a slightly interesting thing that Indiana doesn't do. Indiana, as I said earlier, this is a team that loves random mismatch basketball, but not mismatch basketball in the sense of can you bring the weakest defender up and get him switched onto an island against Luka Doncic, who's going to dribble the ball a lot. They are moving up and down the court with the purpose of going and finding mismatches, not creating them necessarily. At times, of course, they have sets where they bring up bad defenders into a matchup. They did that constantly with Cat and Brunson. They would run pick and rolls with, without Halliburton, without Pascal Siakam, and they would have, two of their lesser offensive players running against New York's worst defensive players. But because OKC doesn't really provide those mismatches, what
Pacers in 6, Ardell says.
What the Pacers are going to do is they're just going to sprint down every time, and they're going to hope that they create them. They're going to hope that they confuse them, and they're going to say, yeah, sure, everybody is a plus defender, but do you really want Aaron Wiggins guarding Pascal Siakam? Do you want Shea guarding Pascal Siakam? Do you want Chet Holmgren guarding Halliburton? I'm super interested to see it, super curious, and I think a lot of, I think this series is going to be determined, pretty obvious thing, but it's going to be determined whether the Pacers can score against OKC. Because if the Pacers can score against them, that limits, to a degree, what OKC can do in terms of forcing turnovers and getting points coming back the other direction. Playing good defense doesn't mean you can't play fast-tempoed, up-style basketball. But I think for OKC especially, it definitely helps them. It definitely triggers them. It's the key that unlocks a lot of their most smoothest versions of their offense is when they're getting a bunch of points in transition like that. Shai Gilgeous is so good at basketball that he can still create a pretty decent half-court offense all by himself. And Indiana isn't a half-court, juggernaut defensively. But I'm really curious to see just how Indiana's offense, whether they can cause any confusion, show any weaknesses, just present a slightly different version of a puzzle for OKC to solve, and then how OKC goes around solving it.
One of the interesting things about this series, we talk about all the pace when it comes to Indiana. When you start looking at pace throughout the course of the regular season, the Oklahoma City Thunder actually played at a faster pace than the Indiana Pacers did during the regular season. So I bring that up to say that the Thunder can play pretty much any style that they want to against the opponent that they're going to be facing. If they want to go up and down the floor with a team like Indiana, they can do that as well. They're going to turn you over. They're going to put constant pressure on you. You've got two high-level guards, obviously, in the reigning MVP now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton. How about Pascal Siakam and the career that he's putting together? Was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, already an NBA champion, of course, winning one with the Toronto Raptors back in 2019. But, Marcel, I want to get your perspective on this because, if Rick Carlisle wins a championship with the Indiana Pacers, having already won one in the Western Conference with the Dallas Mavericks, where does he start to find himself in the conversation of all-time head coaches if he's able to pull this off with the Pacers and winning a championship this year?
He's going to the Hall of Fame whether he wins this series or not.
Sure.
And, they're obviously, as Tim said, a massive underdog in the eyes of odds makers. But it's funny. Early in the Pacers were here early in the season. And they weren't even, remember, this Pacers team, they got off to a 9-14 start, and they were still sub 500 going into 2025. So it's really been since the calendar flip that they've become this powerhouse team. But it was early in the season. I want to say, Tanner, back me up. The Pacers scored in the 130s that night. The Pacers won here. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
We can look it up real fast.
Yeah, somebody help me with the looking it up because I can't
I
talk
got you. Go
and
ahead.
monitor all these screens at the same time.
Yeah.
Pacers won. Pacers came here early in the season, scored 130 something, beat the Mavs, and the Mavs have been having all kinds of trouble with Indiana in recent years.
So ironically, the Mavericks actually beat the Pacers here, 134-127.
Did they?
Yeah, that was back on November the 4th.
The Mavs won that game?
Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, they lost. I'm sorry, 134-127. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was reading it
I
backwards.
was almost sure the yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
So the Pacers win that game. I see Rick after, and I just was like, when did you turn into Doug Moe? Like, what is going on? Like, you guys, it's this freewheeling offense. Because I think last season too, didn't the Mavs the previous season the season they went to the finals, they lost both games to Indiana.
Yeah, they lost both in about a nine game span.
Yeah.
It was the 2 of 7 stretch over a 9.
So they just you got to give Carlisle a ton of credit for when he was here. He was perceived as this very controlling coach who the offense had to be pried out of his hands so Jason Kidd could run it and improvise and be the Jason Kidd that we knew he always was at his other stops. But like Carlisle has completely embraced giving the keys to Halliburton, letting this team play at a ridiculously fast pace. I mean, he's proven to be a very adaptable coach. I mean, what is this, 14 years separated from the title team? So, I mean, he's done a tremendous job there. And did you see that clip that in the clincher, game 6, the first play of the game, they ran the action, got a uncontested layup underneath, and guys on the Pacers bench were going to congratulate Rick for the play call on the first play of a game. And that's where it goes back to this vibes thing. People are going to say it's corny, it's fake, the power of friendship, like Miles Turner called it. But like the Pacers really do give you the appearance that they have a very connected group and a good thing going. And Carlisle's been a huge part of it, and he's going to get a lot of love here in the build-up to these finals. But now he's got to deal with a 68-win monster. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah, the Thunder were the best team in the regular season. They have ran through the Western Conference as far as the postseason is concerned. But if you're a basketball fan, this is going to be a highly entertaining series between two fantastic teams who have earned their way to this finals. I don't care if they're two small market teams or not. These two teams are fun to watch, and there will be a lot of offense, some high-level basketball on both sides. The coaching matchup is fascinating as well when it comes to Marc Daigneault and Rick Carlisle.
Here's something about the Thunder. You guys of course know the infamous Phil Jackson. I guess it's not infamous, but the famous Phil Jackson rule about contenders: 40-20. You win 40 games before you lose 20 games, right? Everybody's heard this?
Mm-hmm.
And most, out of the past, 40 champions, there's only 4 exceptions to that rule. The Oklahoma City Thunder have won 80 games before losing 20 this season.
That's right.
Is that good?
Only the 4 team.
It's quite good.
Only the 4th team in NBA history to win at least 80 games before reaching the NBA Finals. They've had an absurd season. Absolutely absurd season. By the way, I do want to make this quick note. Congratulations. This past weekend was the final NBA on TNT broadcast. After 36 years, the NBA will no longer be on TNT Sports. Beautiful send-off. If you were watching the game, Kevin Harlan, Allie LaForce, Stan Van Gundy, Reggie Miller, also the inside the NBA crew with Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, and of course Charles Barkley. One of the things I love about this job is learning from individuals, and Ernie Johnson is somebody who I've watched and learned from over the last dozen or so years at this particular point. Happy to see that Inside the NBA will continue. Obviously, it will continue on ESPN, but wanted to make sure to make that note because I've had the pleasure of meeting Ernie Johnson, and he is a tremendously nice individual, and we just want to say congratulations to them for what was a terrific run, 36 years with the final NBA on TNT broadcast in Game 6, of course, of the Eastern Conference Finals. So congratulations to the folks over there at Turner Sports for the last 36 years. We'll miss Inside the NBA on TNT. That's for damn sure. Appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. We will be back tomorrow here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Good to have our guy Marc Stein back in studio with us, providing us the latest news and notes across the NBA, and of course for your Dallas Mavericks, he will be with us.
You guys really glad, or are you just saying that?
No, for real. No, we're glad to have you back because it's an easy segment for us. So appreciate you having you back.
He's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Easy segment.
We gotta go.
That's all I am to you, an easy segment?
Hey, man, you're here for the content. We appreciate you for it, though. That's our National NBA Insider, Marc Stein. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. Bobby Krell will be back with us tomorrow here on DLLS Mavs.
Thanks to everyone chatting. We see them all. Love it. Come back tomorrow.
At 12 p.m. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.